If you've ever had the feeling that you're wired differently from those around you, that you speak a foreign language that nobody can comprehend, you may simply be a Sigma. Although this personality type is frequently misinterpreted, they have distinctive traits that make them stand out from the rest. Although some of their traits can make their lives difficult, Sigma men treat everyone with respect regardless of social status and have a different way of thinking. When two Sigma personalities come together, it's like they found a secret language that only they can understand, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Remember that being a Sigma is a mix of several qualities rather than a single, universal description. Here are 10 strange things, some of which may seem strange to the typical person. Without further ado, one thing that only Sigma males can do is vanish and then reappearance at random. Although they have a way of making their presence known, Sigma men are also skilled at disappearing when necessary. They can be present and conversing 1 minute, then abruptly disappear and reappearance later as if nothing had happened. They can become bored rather easily, so rather than making themselves stay in a boring situation, they dare to take a break and enjoy their own company. They can also vanish when there is too much chaos and noise, where they can find a much-needed moment of quiet. This disappearing act can also be a defense mechanism for Sigma males, who may choose to isolate themselves from others when they sense a potential threat or conflict. This behavior can be confusing to those around them, but it's simply their way of avoiding needless drama. They don't feel the need to justify their actions to anyone because this is just part of their personality. Their aversion to small conversation and niceties is another factor contributing to their sporadic disappearances. When small chat is the rule of the day, Sigma men are likely to find social pleasantries boring and a waste of time. Instead, they are more interested in getting to the bottom of things and having meaningful conversations that result in true relationships. Their capacity to disappear and reappear is a way for them to show their desire for solitude, dislike of trivial chat, and preference for deep and meaningful connections, rather than as an indication of disdain or malice toward others. 2. They act as though they are not seeing an acquaintance in public. Have you ever seen someone you know in a public place, but they act as though they are not seeing you? It can be very unsettling and hurtful. While some may think that acting as though you are not seeing an acquaintance is disrespectful or rude, Sigma men are actually just attempting to shield themselves from meaningless, shallow interactions. Let's examine more closely why this behavior could be required of them and what we might infer from it. This isn't meant as an insult to others. Rather, it's a way for Sigma men to preserve their mental space and maintain control over how much time they spend engaging in trivial matters. Of course, this doesn't mean that Sigma men will avoid anyone they recognize if they know that the person is likely to launch into a long and mundane conversation. Instead, they may pretend they didn't notice. Sigma men are typically independent thinkers who prefer meaningful connections over shallow small talk, so they may avoid making eye contact with people they recognize in public if these encounters will likely lead to meaningless conversations. We all want to be prepared for the future, but Sigma men take it a step further. They constantly think and analyze every situation they encounter, which can lead them to overanalyze things at times. Their planning frequently goes beyond practicality and into the realm of luxury. 3. They plan for every possible scenario in their heads. Some people may find this behavior shocking, but it's actually a great example of how Sigma men take ownership of their time and energy. They consider all possible outcomes and attempt to formulate a plan for each one. In certain situations, this can be advantageous as it keeps them one step ahead of their rivals and gives them a great sense of control and assurance that they won't make mistakes in the future. On the other hand, excessive planning can result in stress and anxiety if things don't go as planned. Occasionally, they go too far and become stuck in their own heads, wasting time on things that might never happen. Of course, planning and visualization are crucial to success, but they should be done so in moderation. It doesn't matter if you picture yourself operating a Lamborghini. So beware of excessive planning since it can lead to stagnation and procrastination. Stay focused on the moment and what you can do right now rather than getting caught in a web of your own ideas. If you watch Netflix every night but don't take action to make it happen, it's just wishful thinking. 4. They frequently believe they are the only ones who understand. Have you ever had the impression that no one else understood anything or that you were the only one with a certain viewpoint? Sigma males frequently experience this, and it can be very alienating. They may find it difficult to connect with others who share their opinions, and find it challenging to articulate their thoughts in a way that is useful. This might cause people to feel frustrated and confused since it appears like no one is actually understanding what they're trying to communicate. Although dealing with such a unique personality type might be challenging, Sigma men accept the fact that they are individuals, even if it's normal for them to feel like outcasts in society. Being unique and true to yourself in a world of conformity may be uplifting. In fact, being different can be rather freeing. Being an outsider just indicates that you see the world from a different perspective than most others. Not that you are alone in it. Sigma men frequently find solace and power in their own ideas. It's not always simple, but it can be very satisfying to forge your own route and create something wholly original as long as they believe in their judgment. 5. They wait to ask for assistance until they are in dire need of it, in order to take care of themselves and not rely on outside assistance. Sigma men frequently hesitate to ask for help unless it is absolutely necessary. They prefer to handle problems on their own because they believe they have better control over the outcome, which can be a source of pride for them. However, this is beneficial when running a one-man show, but it can also be limiting, because not everyone will do things the same way. Sigma males may not know when they need help, which may leave them feeling overwhelmed and trapped. It can be difficult for them to give up control, but sometimes moving ahead is vital to progress, even though someone may be able to complete a task on their own. Asking for assistance is not a sign of weakness but rather of strength that enables you to focus on the bigger picture. Of course, this doesn't mean you should depend only on others. But having a support system can be very beneficial when going through challenging times. 6. They immerse themselves in a hobby or creative project and spend hours alone. These guys are prone to becoming completely devoted to something they find interesting and can easily become lost in the process. They like to explore every aspect of their chosen topic and experiment with different methods until they find the perfect solution, whether it be painting, programming, or testing. Sigma males take pleasure in their job and may occasionally be rather protective of it. It's as like they are in their own universe and no one else can enter or do anything. Instead of spending time socializing, they would rather dedicate their time to the task at hand. Although it's difficult for others to understand, Sigma men find comfort in their solitude and the sense of accomplishment they get from working on something. A chance to express themselves creatively and push themselves to their limits, which frequently results in them staying up late working on a project until the wee hours of the morning. Some Sigmas may develop an obsession with this, but it offers them a deep feeling of fulfillment that nothing else can, to the point where they don't care about societal acceptance. Sigma guys don't give a damn about what other people think of them, while others want to fit in and be accepted by their peers. Sigma males don't go out of their way to reject social norms. They aren't against making friends or being a part of a group. They just don't put too much value in fitting in and conforming. They are confident in their own beliefs and don't feel the need to change them for anyone. They also know that being different can be a good thing as it can open up doors of opportunity and lead them to success. The majority of Sigma men are happy because they don't rely on other people to make them feel good about themselves. Instead, they find peace and satisfaction in their own lives and don't need to be accepted by society. That kind of mental freedom leads to true happiness, which money simply can't buy. Many people are stuck in the mindset of trying to impress others, buying things they don't need to impress people they don't like. 8. They work independently much. For many people who thrive in social settings, the thought of being alone can seem scary and overwhelming. However, for Sigmas, being alone comes as naturally as breathing. It's not that they dislike socializing or are antisocial. Rather, they find solace and comfort in their own company. Sigma men silence. They depend on no one else for their happiness or success because they are perfectly capable of taking care of themselves. For Sigma males, they find solace and comfort in their solitary company. This does not mean that Sigma stone value relationships or enjoy being alone. Rather, they cherish meaningful connections and have deep emotions like everyone else. But they have a unique way of expressing themselves and may need to withdraw from social situations from time to recharge. Silence is not something to be filled with chatter but rather a source of peace and quiet that allows them to hear their own thoughts without the external noise of the world around them. While they're not distracted by the outside world, they may also be creative while they're alone. They can access their deepest thoughts and generate new ideas, which is why they are frequently driven to creative fields, where they may explore their imagination and realize their ideas in a safe setting. 9. They frequently confront the current quo, despite the common misconception that Sigma men are just rebellious without a cause. In reality, they are more inclined to question the existing quo and seek out better solutions than to simply behave opposite. Sigma men frequently inquire as to why things are done a certain way, or if there is a better way to accomplish things. This sort of mindset might encourage others to. Others with this mindset are more likely to think creatively and innovatively and to solve long-standing issues. This also puts them at conflict with some powerful individuals, which may make for some fascinating debates. However, these encounters don't deter the Sigmas. They're always willing to stand up for what they believe in, no matter how strong the resistance is. This sort of mindset is appealing to anyone, but it may also be particularly motivating for some individuals. While some individuals would rather maintain the existing quo and not upset the apple cart in order to keep themselves safe, Sigma men are unconformable and frequently the first to stand up for what is right. Male Sigmas don't think that's worth it. They would much rather make a stance, even if it means defying social norms. This doesn't imply that they are careless or reckless. Rather, it just indicates that they would rather question the current quo than be content. 10. They are often immersed in contemplation. If there's a reason why Sigma men are sometimes described as aloof or chilly, it's probably because of their propensity to lose themselves in thinking. They don't deliberately attempt to block out the outside world. Instead, they just lose themselves in their own inner world. Sigma men have vivid imaginations and are frequently immersed in contemplation, daydreaming, or wondering about life's grand mysteries. They also utilize this technique to analyze the events that occur in their environment. This might come across as aloofness to others, but it's actually simply part of their character as they take their time to analyze the world around them and create insights that many others miss. They also use this way to process the events around them as they think carefully about what occurred and why it did. Even though they are quiet and thoughtful, their minds are always racing, which makes it difficult for them to communicate with people who don't share their viewpoints. It's as though they speak a different language. However, when two Sigma personalities come together, it can be a magical experience because they can understand each other's ideas and frequently find common ground in their conversations. It's like speaking with a long-lost friend as they can relate to each other on many levels. If you enjoy the video, subscribe our channel.